It was never a childhood dream of mine to be a firefighter. It just wasn't. But after I got out of the service and went to college, I had my own business here in town. I was a real estate appraiser. And one time we took a vacation, family vacation. We went up to Newport, Oregon, which is where my wife is from. And her brother has a house that overlooks Agate Beach, not too far from it, on kind of a bluff. And we're up there having a family barbecue. And I can look down into the surf and watch people on the beach. And I hear this guy yelling for help. And I look down there, and he was a surfer, and he's pulling his buddy into the shore. And obviously the guy's unconscious or whatever. And so I remember running down from her brother's house out there, getting in the surf and helping pull this guy in. And when we got him on the beach, his buddy looks at me and he says, "Now what do we do?" And it's like, I was totally clueless. I had no idea. Some other people came up, and there happened to be a doctor in this group that arrived on scene, and the guy looks at him and very nonchalantly says, "Looks like he's having a seizure. Let's turn him on his side so he can spit out all this water." And the guy was okay. And so as I'm walking back up to the house, I'm thinking, your instincts were good to go down and help somebody, but you had no idea what to do after that. And it bothered me that I felt incompetent. When we got home from the vacation, we were living out in Mogul at the time. There was a flyer in the mailbox for the Verde Volunteer Fire Department was looking for people to join their department. And so it was, whatever you want to call it, but that's what motivated me. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to go do that. I'll get the EMT training. I'll learn about firefighting. I can give something back to the community. And that's how I got started. As a result of that, I enjoyed the training. I went on some wildland fires, some structure fires, vehicle accidents, and I liked it, okay? And more I found myself sitting in my office writing appraisal reports, waiting for my pager to go off so I could go do something that I really wanted to do. And eventually I had a friend of mine who was with Reno Fire and said, Sparks is testing, why don't you go down and do it? And so I took the test, and in November of 1995 I got hired, and like they say, the rest is history. So kind of unusual how I got started in it. And I do remember, I want to say this too, when I made the decision to go test, I told my wife that this is what I wanted to do. And I thought her reaction was going to be, "Oh, come on, grow up. Next week you're going to want to be a cowboy or an astronaut or something like that." But she said, "If that's what you want to do, then we'll support you." And so if it hadn't been for her and her encouragement, I probably wouldn't have done it. So that's how I ended up here. And so I came up through the ranks like everybody. And that's one thing that's pretty unique about Sparks Fire. And if you remember when I got sworn in, I was the 12th chief in the history of the department since 1905. And Jim Reed will be chief number 13, which is a lucky number, not an unlucky number. And as I took classes around the country, I realized just how unique we are. And what's really cool about it is that anybody in this department can come up through the ranks and end up in this position, okay? Now, it may not always be that way, but that's the way it has been historically, and I think it's served us pretty well. As far as accomplishments, I don't know. I've kept the department running. How's that? We're adding 3 new firefighters, first time since 2008. I think that's important that we start to rebuild our staffing to what it was previously. That's 11 years without any increase in suppression personnel. We've also added a prevention person as well. So those are good things. We need to be moving in that direction. We're starting to talk seriously about building Station 6, which we desperately need out in the northern portion of Spanish Springs. And then we've continued with the paramedic program, which is something that Chief Garrison got the ball rolling on when he was the fire chief, and we're following that schedule. Next spring we'll add another paramedic engine to Station 1, and so all the outlying stations have paramedics. Next year we'll get one down here at Station 1. We continue to have good apparatus, good equipment. And I guess as I look back on it, I couldn't have asked to work with a better group of people, not only in the department itself, but throughout the city. And I look back on it now and I think how fortunate I was to get hired by the city of Sparks in 1995. I've had an outstanding career. I have no regrets. It's just been a wonderful place to work. And having said that, I'm ready to retire. I'm ready to go and start a new chapter in my life. So there you go. More importantly, my wife is really looking forward to it because she retired when I became the chief, and she's been chomping at the bit to get out and do all the things that we've thought about doing throughout our working career. I have a camper on my truck, and we're going to Badlands National Park and Custer National Battlefield, Wind Cave National Park, and all points in between. And so that's something that we've always enjoyed doing, was being in the outdoors and camping and hiking and all that. And that's probably the main thing I'm going to do when I retire. Okay. I also have, I've already bought my ski passes for next year because I'm an avid skier and I'm looking forward to that. And so we have a lot of travels planned, a lot of outdoor activities, and I want to spend more time with my grandson. So I'm going to try and teach him how to fish this summer.